Kausanya, the podium is up to you.
Thank you, ma'am. So we are currently in a world of technology, and the 21st century is a century of science, of technology, and of evolution. The world is becoming increasingly interconnected, and we are the pioneers of this change. Thus, it is essential that we also become the change makers when it comes to cybersecurity. And we all know this, and we have witnessed this, or even worse, we've been a victim of cybercrime. And it is up to us to be aware and work towards actually preventing or even entirely eliminating the risks and crime in the cyberspace. Which is why we are here today. Good evening, everyone, and thank you so much for joining us. Today, I, Kausanya Dhar, will be your host for the session, Cybercrime and Us, conducted by the Delhi Mentoring and Skill Council of the Women's Indian Chamber of Commerce and Industry. Our council aims to create a nation of empowered, successful women, united by their skills, awareness, and strength, by conquering all hurdles, shattering all stereotypes and bias, and working towards their overall development through guiding and mentoring. Today, we are very honored to have two very distinguished industry experts as our speakers, Dr. Pavan Duggal and Mr. Saakshar Duggal, who will be gracing us with their expertise and knowledge. They will be talking about topics like the legalities and legal considerations of day-to-day activities in the cyberspace, cybercrime and the youth, practical and essential strategies to protect oneself online, and much more. So before we begin, I would first like to invite our beloved and esteemed State President, Ms. Radhika Gupta, to say a few words. Ma'am, over to you.
A very warm and heartfelt welcome to everyone who is present today on this podium. It gives me an immense pleasure and honor to graciously let you know that we have completed our 4 months today. We are in the position and in the statement wherein we are yet thoroughly committed towards women entrepreneurship, as well as uplifting the business skills and life skills to all the people wherever we can. I humbly welcome Dr. Pavan Duggal and Mr. Saakshar Duggal today for coming and joining us and giving our council upliftment and guidance towards cybersecurity and cybercrime. So thank you so much. I will also like to add what Kausanya has said. Addition to it is that, yes, it was one of the basic aims wherein we have started our particular council in February, that we'll be discussing more about women's security, cybercrime. We'll be talking about sexual harassment and topics like this, which will be actually talking and dealing with the hardcore realities of the lives. But today, being the 4th month, we are starting our 5th month with a very, very beautiful session on this cybersecurity. I'm 100% sure that we'll all be having an insightful hour wherein we'll be studying, we'll be actually knowing that how we can deal with this particular topic in the large forum. Thank you so much, sir, for coming today and gracing our particular council in such a beautiful manner. Thank you. All podium goes to you.
Thank you so much, ma'am. Now, I would like to introduce our first speaker, Mr. Saakshar Duggal. He is the coordinator of Center Against Cyberbullying, CSCB. He has been working on cutting-edge areas pertaining to cyberbullying and cybercrime in general, and their prevalence amongst youth and teenagers. He was a distinguished speaker at the thematic workshop entitled Cyber Law, Cybersecurity Law, Internet of Things, and Emerging Global Trends at Geneva, Switzerland, hosted by the International Telecommunications Union, UNESCO, UNDP, UNCTAD, UNICEF, etc. Also, he has been a distinguished speaker at the International Conference on Cyber Law, Cybercrime, and Cybersecurity since 2014 to 2020, and has spoken on the subjects of cybercrime amongst youth, social media, children, cyberbullying and new challenges, protecting children from online sexual abuse and related perspectives, artificial intelligence and blockchain, etc. As an author, Mr. Duggal has been amongst the panel of selected global authors who were handpicked to contribute to the global treatise on cyber ethics and its legal ramifications. He has contributed a chapter on cyberbullying in the book entitled Cyber Ethics 4.0, Serving Humanity with Values, edited by Professor Dr. Christopher Stackelberg, Executive Director and founder of globalethics.net. Over to you, sir.
Thank you, Kosanya, for such a warm welcome. Good evening, everyone. First of all, I would like to congratulate Women's Indian Chamber of Commerce and Industry for taking such a wonderful initiative in this regard. Ladies and gentlemen, today I'll be talking about cyberbullying and its basics. I feel in life, whatever we want to achieve, whether it's in our profession or we want to learn a new skill, I feel basics are the most important thing to master. We generally tend to go after complicated topics which may sound fascinating, but at the same time, we tend to forget the basics. But I feel mastering the basics is the most important thing. And today, I'll be explaining all the basics of cyberbullying. So let's start by the definition of cyberbullying. Cyberbullying in simple terms can be defined as a bullying that takes place over digital devices like cell phones, computers, or tablets. Cyberbullying can occur through any social media platforms. It can also occur through SMS, texts, apps, forums, or gaming where people can view, participate, or share content. Cyberbullying includes, amongst others, sending or posting images of the other person and causing embarrassment and humiliation. Cyberbullying may not sound very important, but in reality, it's the need of the hour. Now, when we talk about who is a cyberbully, a cyberbully can be any person who uses the cyberspace as a medium to cause bullying online. A cyberbully can be from any country or any gender, age, which simply means that anyone can be a cyberbully on the internet. A cyberbully can use a number of mediums to perform the act of bullying. He simply requires a social media platform where the bully can exploit or humiliate the other person. Cyberbullying can be done in different forms. Some forms can be like stalking by means of cell phones or laptops, threats of child pornography, hacking into the victim's account, extend threats to commit acts of violence, etc. Now, let's come to the topic of signs of cyberbullying. Well, I would like to tell you all that these signs are not always visible. That is why these have to be taken into account. It's very important for the parents to have a close observation of the child, since there are a lot of signs from which one can interpret that the child is facing the problem of cyberbullying. Some of these signs can be, for example, avoiding school or social gatherings, avoiding discussions about computers, social activities, social media, wanting to stop using the cell phone or computer. Cyberbullying is actually a phenomena where the person who is the victim is experiencing a number of negative feelings like confusion, dissatisfaction, and vulnerability. Sometimes the student who is being bullied feels as if the entire world knows what is going on with them. At times, the stress of dealing with cyberbullying can cause kids to feel like the situation is going out of hand. Since cyberbullying is done in the cyberspace, one knows that something is posted on a social media platform, then it will always remain there. Therefore, when the cyberbullying occurs in the form of nasty posts, text messages, humiliating messages, etc., it can lead to an intense feeling of humiliation in the person who is the victim. Cyberbullying can also cause a self-complex if the person is constantly being bullied online, or he has faced a lot of nasty comments due to which his or her self-confidence is shattered. For example, if a person is fat and there would be a lot of nasty comments and humiliating posts on the physical appearance of that person, the self-confidence of that person will automatically be very low, and this would lead to depression. Cyberbullying can also cause suicidal tendencies in different people. One of the major consequences of cyberbullying are suicidal tendencies. The victims are constantly humiliated online. These messages often led to feeling of hopelessness. In many cases, they even begin to feel like the only way to escape this humiliation is through suicide by ending their life. At that point of time, suicide appears to be the only option left for them. In fact, some of them say suicide is actually the way to end all of this, but that is not true. Suicide will in any case end one's life and all of the bright future that one could have had. It's a sincere request from me that both the parents and the children should have a daily communication in any case. If any parent or child is bullied, do not dismiss their feelings. Trust me, this would create a blunder. Parents need to clearly understand parents are the ones who have to guide their children, and no one can guide children better than them, especially in the cyberspace. What makes cyberbullying so dangerous? The basic reason behind is that it gives bullies the abilities to embarrass anyone they want in public at any hour of the day, any time during the year, using multiple different types of technologies. These can include devices such as cell phones, instant messaging platforms, tablets, interactive gaming websites, etc. Kids are using these platforms more frequently now, so it is becoming easier than ever to be a victim of cyberbullying. A few places where cyberbullying can occur can be social media such as Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, SMS, which is the text SMS, emails, WhatsApp, messengers. Cyberbullying can also be done in different forms over various platforms that are present right now. Some of the bullying examples can be hacking of the account, posting vulgar messages, stalking, threatening the victim to commit an act of violence, child pornography, or threats of posting vulgar messages online. Now, there are few cyberbullying laws in India for bullying in schools and colleges. Though there is no specific legislation for that, but still in India, there is a dire need to stop bullying. Bullying in schools, especially in boarding schools, is largely prevalent in India. To stop bullying in schools, the HRD ministry has also launched anti-ragging committees in schools to punish students who are involved in bullying. Similarly, the UGC, that is the University Grants Commission, has also established anti-ragging committees in the UGC-approved colleges and universities. UGC further said that colleges and universities are mandated to follow the anti-ragging rules. If they fail to comply with these rules of anti-ragging, the UGC can take harsh charges on them. To stop bullying at a higher education level, UGC regulations on curbing the menace of ragging in higher education institutions 2009 has been enacted. Now the question is, why are school students exempted from penal provisions for anti-bullying or cyberbullying? Well, the answer is very clear. The reason behind is that the students studying in schools are juveniles, and juveniles in our country are treated differently under the Juvenile Justice Act. To have a clear understanding of what is cyberbullying in this regard, we will proceed further. Now I'll discuss a few present facts about cyberbullying, which we were able to estimate during 2020 and 2021. First of all, I would like to say that bullying today, especially after Corona, has become a normal phenomenon. Like we at our Center Against Cyberbullying, we generally deal with students who face bullying issues. Before COVID, this was present, but not at such a rampant speed. Today, can you imagine that teenagers as young as 12 are going through cyberbullying? Almost 37% of 12 to 17-year-olds have gone through online harassment. I've had someone write a mean comment about them, while 22% have had rumors and gossips about them. 30% of the same age group has gone through one or more forms of cyberbullying. Examples include threats, mean comments, identity theft, racism, etc. 60% of children that have gone through online harassment have experienced mental health issues. 68% of children have witnessed someone going through harassment on social media. Over 40% of cyberbullying happens on Instagram. Yes, you heard that right. Instagram takes the first portion as the platform where cyberbullying is mostly likely to occur. Cyberbullying stats show that 42% of online harassment comes from these platforms. Considering that over 1 billion people use it, you can only imagine how many cases happen daily. Facebook and Snapchat follow closely with 39% and 31% respectively. And surprisingly, YouTube only takes about 10% of the cyberbullying share. Over 80% of children own a mobile phone and have multiple social network accounts. 50% of them admit that they have seen or experienced online harassment. 38% of gamers have online accounts hacked at least once. Parental awareness and subsequent actions vary considerably around the world. Over 37% of parents in India have reported their child suffering from online bullying, whereas in Japan and Russia, that number is less than 4%. Around 9.2% of 630 adolescents surveyed in Delhi National Capital Region had experienced cyberbullying, and half of them had not reported it to their teachers and parents. 22% of respondents who are between age 12 to 19 who use the internet for longer than 3 hours a day were vulnerable to online bullying, while up to 28% of respondents who use the internet for more than 4 hours a day face cyberbullying. Now let's come to the most important part, that is the role of children and duty of parents. Our Center Against Cyberbullying has conducted a lot of interviews with children who are in schools as well as in colleges and with their parents. After interviewing and interacting with them, one trend is very much clear. There are several factors which people usually don't talk about that are actually the main reasons of this rampant increase of cyberbullying. There is always a gap between children and parents. You may call it generation gap, but a gap is definitely present. Especially in the cases of cyberbullying, there are a lot of things that are going on in victims' mind that have to be discussed. There are some points which both the parents and the children should keep in mind whenever an incident of cyberbullying occurs. In such a situation, children are usually in a state of confusion whenever they face or become the victims of cyberbullying. Often half of them don't even know what is a crime, and they are being victimized. They think their parents will not be able to understand what is happening. In some cases, they are scared, for example, when the child himself is guilty of sharing explicit pictures or content, and with the results faces threats in the form of cyberbullying. Sometimes children feel that their parents would punish them. As a result, children often think that and act accordingly since they are immature, and which further leads to complication of problems. In case of parents, they always want the best of the child and want to protect their child from this harsh word. But the fact is that sometimes they have to understand the child's problem with an open mind. If you discover that your child is being a victim of cyberbullying, offer comfort or support to him. Talking about any bullying experience you had in your childhood might help the child feel less alone. You should praise your child for doing the right thing. By taking time and talking to you, let your child know that it is not his or her fault, and the bullying says more about the bully than the victim. Parents should let someone, maybe their teachers in school or their guardian, be able to help them to guide them. Many schools and districts have this protocol of making cybercrime cells where you can report about cyberbullying. Now, the interesting question comes when your child is the bully. Yes, you heard that right. Generally, we talk about situations where the child is a victim and how parents can support him. But what about the situation when your child is the bully? Then what to do? At this juncture, I actually wanted to discuss the scenario when you discover that your own child is the bully. I know that's a big shock to anyone, but the reality is that we have to face that situation confidently. We often talk about cyberbullying from the perspective of victim in the sense that he is being victimized or humiliated. The fact that we don't talk about, as I said, is where one's own child is the bully. More and more children today are wanting to be cyberbullies as they want to give vent their sadistic tendencies while hiding behind the cloak of anonymity. This, unfortunately, is a reality of today. Victims of cyberbullying get cyberbullied as there are cyberbullies present in the cyber ecosystem. There are a lot of recommendations for parents of cyberbullies. Parents need to understand the problem of their children as to why he or she has become a cyberbully. I'm not saying here to support the child. I'm just saying to understand the psychology of the child, because in many cases we have seen that if the parents are able to understand the position of the child actually stops doing these kind of activities. Talking to the child firmly and making him understand about the negative impact of his or her actions are creating is a good strategy moving forward. It is equally important to make the child understand the legal ramifications of his or her acts. The child needs to be told that his or her behavior is unethical, and the child would not relish if the same behavior is targeted to the child or his or her family members. Sometimes the child is also unaware of the fact that he is the one who is committing the cyberbullying. Hence, it becomes more important that the child must be told what is right and what is wrong. Now, last but not the least, I come to this juncture to actually discuss a few points on how to stop cyberbullying. These are some practical measures which can be adopted by anyone who faces some sort of cyberbullying in their lives. With the instances of anti-bullying increasing on a daily basis at a growing rate, there is a need to stop these cyberbullying activities. Following are the steps that one can take. Number one, do not respond or retaliate. Sometimes all the perpetrators are looking for is a reaction. As according to them, by responding to them, you are giving them power over and you. And if you don't respond or retaliate, you are in fact curbing their power. The best way is to disconnect yourself from the situation or distract the person who is bullying online. Second, keep the evidence safe. Now, generally these days, we have a good habit of taking screenshots. In this regard, it's a very useful habit because the screenshot can be used as evidence for the same. Third thing is reach out for help. When the bully is not stopping and is continuously bullying you, reach out to the best cybercrime lawyers in India for help. They will not only advise you, but will also help you to understand the entire concept of the situation. Use technology. Most social media platforms have this, you must have seen in Facebook, for example, if you have certain issues, there's a help option there. If you go on that, you will discover there are certain options where you can put in your grievances ahead. And in that, you can, as I said, in that, you can put all of your grievances regarding cyberbullying, different activities that are happening on their respective platforms. Fifth, protect your account safe. Never share your passwords to anyone. I think today, this is the golden rule. It is the golden rule for today because if you tend to share your passwords with anyone, you may not know today's friend can turn out to be tomorrow's enemy. To stop bullying, do not give your passwords to anyone, not even to your closest friends. Always keep your phones and accounts passwords protected and do not let anybody to snoop through your sensitive information. Sixth, keep your social profile and interaction profile safe. Social media presence has become the part and parcel of everyday's life. But while posting and interacting with people on social media platforms, keep the following things in mind. Be always mindful of what you post. Being kind to others online will help to keep you safe. Do not share anything that could hurt or embarrass anyone. Second, think about who sees what you post online. Complete strangers, friends, your future job professionals. Privacy settings let you control who sees what. Your privacy is in your hands. Choose your privacy wisely. Do not open your emails from sources you don't know. And do not download attachments unless you are 100% sure that they are from an authenticated source. Last but not the least, stop downloading free content which you don't know that content is 100% secured. Last, but I would like to conclude by saying be smart, be safe. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir. That was truly insightful, especially for all the youngsters who are now actively using online platforms on a daily basis. And cyberbullying is unfortunately a very serious and widespread issue and is often even overlooked because people are unable to spot the signs, as you mentioned. So this information has definitely opened our eyes, and the strategies you have provided are surely very helpful. Now, I'd like to move on to our second speaker, Dr. Pavan Duggal. So Dr. Duggal is a practicing advocate at Supreme Court of India. He has made an immense impact with an international reputation as an expert and authority on cyber law, cybersecurity law, artificial intelligence law, and e-commerce law. He is the founder and the chairman of International Commission on Cybersecurity Law. He's also the president of cyberlaws.net and has been working in the pioneering area of cyber law, cybersecurity law, and mobile law. He has been acknowledged as one of the top 4 cyber lawyers around the world. Also, World Domain Day recognizes him as one of the top 10 cyber lawyers around the world. He's also heading the Artificial Intelligence Law Hub and Blockchain Law Center. He's the founder cum honorary chancellor of the Cyber Law University. He's the co-chairman of the Cybersecurity Committee of ASSOCHAM and was the chairman of the Cyber Law Committee and works closely with CII and FICCI. Dr. Duggal is also the president of the Cyber Law Asia and a member of multi-stakeholder steering group of the Asia Pacific Region Internet Governance Forum. He is the founder of the Cyber Law Association and is also the founder and president of Cyber Law India. He's also the founder of the Cyber Law Association and is also part of many other things. Extending a very warm welcome to you, sir. Over to you.
Sir, your voice is not coming. Is it with me only?
It is not audible.
Just a minute.
Now it is, sir. I think you said just a minute. So, no.
This is technology, and I hope technology helps me to reach out to you. Can you hear me now?
Yes, absolutely, sir. Very, very warm welcome. Namaste. Voice again gone.
Well, it shows my mic is connected. So can you now hear me or not?
Yes, we can, sir. Absolutely clear.
Now
Absolutely.
you're mute, ma'am.
Am I audible now, sir?
Okay, I think we'll have to.
You were absolutely clear, sir.
Am I audible now, please? Okay. Technology is a great teacher. It always teaches you however much you want to plan and be prepared, it will always surprise you. I've seen that happening n number of times. And despite working in technology on a 24/7 basis, I've learned to respect the technology devta. Because that devta, if he's not happy with you at any point of time, he's going to snap off the connection. Last week, we had this gentleman who is one of the topmost people in the Delhi social circuit area, the page 3 group. He landed up, he wanted to urgently meet up with me. So, of course, he was not willing to say why he wants to meet up. So he came over and I said, look, these are pandemic times. We can talk on the Zoom, but they were very keen. They wanted to have an in-person meeting. So we met. And that person actually, when he started telling, I could see the agony on his face evolving with the passage of time. Here is a very prominent businessman of the country, a very familiar face. And when he was alone, he got a call. And the call wanted him to switch on to a video call. So since he was late in the night all by himself, he decided to switch on the video call. On the other side of the call was a girl without clothes. The girl asked him to unstrip, to strip. And now here's a man who's a father to a 22 and a 25-year-old boy and a girl. He decided to strip. They talked for some time, about 8-10 minutes, and then he said, look, this is nonsense. So we closed this down. So the moment he put down his phone, in less than a minute, he got this call. The call was that, sir, we have recorded whatever you were doing on the camera, on the video call, and we are now going to circulate this to your entire group of your peers. We already have, while we were having the video call, we have copied the entire address book on your mobile phone. So we have exactly each of your contacts. And if you are not going to pay us 5 lakh rupees, we are going to make sure that we are going to have this circulated across to everybody. Now the gentleman came and he wanted legal advice. I said, this is a classical new cybercrime that's emerging, where you are invariably now being, shall I say, targeted by these fake video calls. And if you're not careful, if you're slightly negligent, the chances are that you could land yourself into trouble. Because once somebody has a video footage of yourself being in various forms of undress or engaging in personal, intimate sexual activities, that could potentially be used as a handle to arm twist you. So he took legal advice. The advice, of course, we always give the advice is don't pay, because paying actually opens up a Pandora's box. If you pay, it confirms to the cyber criminal that you are a live victim. Number 2, you have the capacity to pay. And number 3, you would be willing to pay again and again and again. So if you start paying, you're effectively giving yourself an exposure for constant new harassments, constant new calls. This is one new kind of cybercrime that we have begun to start seeing. And mind you, if this is only for, if you think it's for men, you're inaccurate, it's also for women. I have got cases of high society women who've connected with me on exactly similar matters, except in their case, they've got these video calls from young men who have stripped and who've asked these middle-aged or slightly elder women to strip, and they have taken these videos and now they're blackmailing them for ransom. This is now the new normal. Actually, ever since COVID-19 came across, the world changed totally. 2 elements came up which have been with us ever since the beginning of COVID. One is fear and the other one is panic. We are fearful. We don't know what's happening. The second wave is going down, but the Delta has already come up. We don't know when the next wave comes up. And we're almost concerned invariably about the safety and well-being of our near and dear ones, our family members. And because in these times of uncertainty, there's a lot of panic. One particular call, every time you get a call, you shudder to think, I hope everything is okay. Things are not fire. Things are not really bad with somebody whom you know very well. So with the coming of COVID-19, a new phenomenon has begun. This phenomenon is known as the golden age of cybercrime. The golden age of cybercrime has begun, and this is an important fact that you and I need to keep in our minds. Why? When I talk of the golden age, we used to read in history, in the school books, the golden age of the Guptas and the Mauryas in history. Little did we realize that in our own lifetime, we will see a kind of a golden age. Now, this is not necessarily a very good, positive, constructive golden age, but golden age nonetheless. Because from the time internet was actually invented way back in 1969 till 2020, the 50 years saw massive increase in cybercrime, and cybercrime started evolving over a period of time. However, in the last 1.5 years, we have seen far more distinctive new kinds of manifestations, avatars, categories, and new illustrations of cybercriminal activities. Further, the economic impact of cybercrime has massively increased. Last year in 2020, the world actually lost more than $6 trillion thanks to cybercrime. And if you think that figure is a record, think again. By the end of 2021, the world is likely to lose more than $8 trillion. And that's a constantly growing phenomenon. So 2020, brace up your seat belts for 2030, 2040, and 2050. Cybercrime will continue to keep on growing. As of now, if you look at in terms of figures, cybercrime is the third biggest economy in the world. And very quickly in the next few years, it will become the biggest economy in the world, even surpassing the economic growth in economies like the US, like China and India. Even today, the total volumes of monies that get generated by cybercrime far exceed the GDP of India as a whole. So in this context, we have to have certain mindset changes. The first is that cybercrime is here to stay. It's not going away. Number two, cybercrime is not a Western phenomenon. Don't think that it's only people in the West who are getting impacted with cybercrime. It's people like you and me who are becoming victims of cybercrime. A lot of people feel, look, I'm an ordinary person. I don't have much to lose. So why will anybody even target me? You have to quickly forget this particular misconception, because today it's not what place you occupy in society. It's who you are as a data subject, which is more important. And mind you, I use the word data subject because we've all transformed ourselves from becoming mere human beings into becoming data objects or data subjects. We are generating data on a 24/7 basis, on our phones, on our laptops, on our mobile applications, on our smart devices, and a variety of other things. Recently, a murder took place in Maharashtra. And the murder took place in a house of a very affluent family, where they went ahead and searched everything and they could not find who had done the murder. And then they suddenly realized that in the entire drawing room of that particular home, there was one of these smart devices called Echo. Now, this particular device, whether it's Echo or Alexas of the world, they are not very expensive, about 7,000-8,000 rupees. And it's lovely to talk, Alexa do this, Echo do this, and they will do things, they'll play your music. But little do you realize that these devices are constantly recording you. So they were able to take this particular device, do the forensic analysis, and were able to quickly find relevant clues which were instrumental in further investigation of the murder. Because when it's recording you all the time, whatever it's hearing, it's recording. And it's trying to go ahead and analyze. Something known as complete anonymity. If you think you're anonymous, think again. Every activity that you do online leaves behind a digital footprint. And this footprint is being used by governments for the purposes of targeting you, for the purposes of going ahead and prosecuting you. Your activities and capturing all your activities. All of us are so much fond of downloading all kinds of apps. We hear some app from somebody, we don't even think twice, we go and download the app. Every time you download an app on your mobile, the app asks you certain permissions. And if you are in a great amount of hurry, the chances are that you are not going to read what these permissions are, and you will give all these permissions. And that's the beginning of the misery for you as a user. Because once you give all these permissions, you're effectively cutting your entire hands and putting it on the table. Let me give you an example. If you are having an Android phone, try downloading Torch application. Now, Torch application is only meant to give you a torch, some light. But when you download the app requests permissions. It includes the permission to access your contacts, your photographs, your videos, your SMSs. Now, why should a Torch app want to have access to your data, your contacts, your photographs? Clearly, see, it's very, very simple. Whenever something which is world-class and is being offered to you for free, please remember you are the product. And today, more and more, cyber criminals have started offering these kinds of mobile apps, which can actually swipe you off your feet, but effectively can constantly keep on not just stealing your data, but also violating your data privacy as you go forward. So I'm seeing cyber crimes happening all across. Broadly speaking, three broad categories are coming forward. One is cyber crimes against persons. The other one is cyber crimes against property. And the third one is cyber crimes against nations. And in almost all of these categories, I'm finding a lot of increase. In the cybercrimes against persons, I'm finding a massive increase in cyber stalking, cyber trolling, cyber defamation, cyber nuisance. In the cybercrimes against property, your data and your systems are constantly being targeted. So it's effectively, it is now your, shall I say, data on your systems, hacking, cracking, damage to computer source code that often becomes as classical examples of cybercrime. And today, we've also begun to see massive increase in cybercrimes against nations. This is so because there are so many cyber attacks, cyber warfare related activities, and cyber terror related activities that are now coming up. And on top of it, now new technologies are coming to go ahead and completely amaze you. But these technologies are also now being used both for positive and negative aspects. For example, artificial intelligence is now being used both for fighting cybercrime as also for perpetuating cybercrime. So in this context, it thus assumes significance that we are in a different world altogether. At this juncture, I had a couple of slides. I want to just share these slides with you to give you an idea as to what exactly is happening and why we need to be slightly more careful of this particular ecosystem that we are beginning to start seeing around as we go forward. Well, I will quickly take you through to some of things that I'm seeing on the horizon. I hope you're able to see the presentation. So let's look at the recent news that's come from Erode in southern India, where the pornographic content has been shared on students' WhatsApp groups. This is normal, right? You get so much of this pornographic content in all kinds of groups. But be careful, because when you forward this kind of pornographic content or obscene content to others, you're actually committing a crime. In addition, I've seen massive increase in cybercrimes against women and against children during pandemic times. More and more women and children are spending more times online, and therefore the chances of them being made potential targets and victims of cybercrimes cannot be ruled out. In Anand, they've actually arrested a man who was actually going ahead and blackmailing girls online and misusing their data for a variety of purposes. These are all examples of what we see in the public domain. In Hyderabad, we've actually found that people have been using micro loan apps. These are wonderful apps that tell you, look, you want a small loan, 10,000, come and sign on our app, we'll give you the money immediately. But what you don't realize is that for every 10,000 that you're going to actually ask as a loan, they are in any case going to first cut out about 2,000 to 2,500. So you may only land up getting 3/4 of what you've actually asked for. And there are humongously high volumes of interests. And if you're not very careful, you'll quickly go into a spiral of debt. Well, nobody is secure. Whether you are an actress, whether you're a political leader, whether you're a housewife or an entrepreneur or a professional. Here in this case, a famous actress, Shabana Azmi, said that the alcohol delivery shop actually duped her. And well, Truecaller is such a huge problem area. Through Truecaller, you can just about try to find out a lot of information, and all you require is Indian classical jugaad, and you can target people. We all travel through Air India prior to COVID-19, but Air India's entire database has been targeted. About 45 lakh users' data has been leaked out because hackers were able to access the said data. More significantly, that had a huge impact because these said databases also had the credit card numbers and also the passport details of the passengers per se. Further, whatever platform you're doing in case if you're doing a share, doing activities on a share trading online platform, really think again as to whether your data is safe, because there is so much of data that's being stolen and that's being made available for sale in the online space and also in the darknet. So imagine 2 crore Indian students' data gets stolen, and then gets made available on the dark net for just 299 rupees. So that means one's student data is not even worth a speck of dust, to say the least. But that's now the new economy. We are all in the part of the data economy, and this data is what's going to gather money. And I think the figures on cybercrime will continue to keep on increasing as we go forward. Please be careful, because everybody of us can potentially become a victim of the online cybercriminal activities. And clearly the golden age of cybercrime has already been ushered in by COVID-19. You'll have to be clear that now cybercriminals are very, very active because people are losing their jobs. People don't have their businesses running. And cybercrime presents a fabulous focus for generating quick monies. Further, ransomware attacks have become very predominant. We've begun to see every 11 seconds, a company anywhere in the world becomes a victim of a ransomware attack. In this case, an Apple supplier actually was hit with a 50 million ransomware attack from a particular source. Actually, we were never really prepared for COVID-19. So when the lockdowns were suddenly announced, we did not know what had hit us. And consequently, these lockdowns completely changed the way how we started working. Work from home became the new normal. But while we started working from home, we became more careless. We did not started focusing more on cybersecurity. And consequently, more and more people started becoming victims of cybercrime while working from home. There has been a 246% increase in cyber attacks that have been specifically focused on the devices that have been worked from home. Further, cyber attacks have massively increased on remote access protocols amid the COVID-19 pandemic. So this cybercrime is not an alien phenomenon. It's been done by people like you and me. In India, we have a village called Jamtara. That Jamtara also gave rise to a Netflix series called Jamtara. Here, the entire village works only on cybercrime and generates huge volumes of money. But that was a couple of years back. Come COVID-19, and we have begun to see the mushrooming of the Jamtara model in different villages across the country. We've begun to see the cottage industrialization of cybercrime. So when people in the village have no work to do, they do cybercrime, generate quick volumes of money. And because we are so much on mobiles invariably tend to become the first focal thrust area for cybercriminal activities. And all kinds of cybercrimes are massively increasing, whether it's against property, against persons, against nations. And the crowning glory is given to these social media cybercrimes, because they are primarily only done on social media. So whether it's trolling, whether it's abusing, whether it's cyberbullying, whether it's Zoom jacking, you name it, and you have new kinds of things coming up. But I think as women entrepreneurs, you all now need to be prepared for ransomware. Don't think it's never going to happen to you. Today, a lot of Indian companies are becoming victims of ransomware. They're just not reporting the same. You have to quickly realize that when you're hit with a ransomware, your entire data is locked up, right? You open your computer and your entire data is not accessible. Just once message comes, your entire data has been encrypted. Pay us this amount of money in Bitcoins, and then we'll give you an access back to your data. Now, if you have not got your backups in place, then the chances are that you are going to repent. Because even if you pay, there are no guarantees that you will ever get your monies back or not. Cybercrime and cybersecurity breaches are constantly growing. In fact, there's a very distinctive intrinsic connection between cybercrime and cybersecurity breaches. And I think cybersecurity has to be the need of the hour. Why? Because you cannot say that I can do anything hanky-panky and then the government will protect my cybersecurity. Sorry. We are all part of a big chain. And the chain of cybersecurity of the country is as strong as the weakest link. Therefore, we have to be careful that we do not become the weakest link on the cybersecurity eco chain. Also remember that there is so much of fake news floating all around us. Let's not contribute to fake news by quickly going ahead and shall I say, forwarding content of what you see on WhatsApp, on social media, without even understanding the authenticity or veracity of the same. Why? Because if you now do that, you commit a cybercrime, and you can also potentially be hauled up. And if you are a WhatsApp group admin, think again. If any nonsense happens on any WhatsApp group of which you are an admin, not only the guy who's done the said, or the girl who's done the said nonsense gets into trouble, but you in your capacity as an admin also gets into trouble, because the law considers the admin as an intermediary and wants admins to exercise due diligence. AI is now being used by various police forces to crack cyber criminals and cybercrimes. But now you go to the darknet and you find more and more these websites are offering that we are providing you cybercrime as a service powered by AI. Because this is that deep underbelly of the internet which you cannot access using the search engine. You only have to access using a specific browser known as the Onion Router browser. And this darknet is a place where everybody is anonymous, and the police has not been very successful in cracking the identities of people as a whole. So looks very nice that there's so much happening, but in reality, we are pretty much clueless on cybercrime. First and foremost, once cybercrime occurs, the biggest problem is how do you attribute the cybercrime to any particular person? That person may be sitting in Antarctica, in Africa, or in America and targeting your systems. Assuming you actually even identify who this person is, internet jurisdiction presents an immense problem, primarily because how do you ensure that you're able to get that particular person back to India for facing the Indian law? I think you may be anybody, but today if you're a digital ecosystem stakeholder, or if you're using the internet, you need to be aware that India has in place its cyber law, being the Information Technology Act 2000. So if today you're using any of the 7 raw materials in your daily lives, that is if you use computers, computer systems, computer networks, computer resources, communication devices, as also data and information in the electronic form, you are covered under the Information Technology Act 2000. And this particular cyber law has already now provided various cyber crimes in the country. There are some computer-related crimes. Imagine if you get into somebody else's system without their permission, that's an offense. Gets you 3 years jail time and 5 lakh rupees fine. You go ahead and engage in identity theft. That's a separate crime. You cheat by personation by using a computer resource. 3 years imprisonment, 5 lakh rupees fine. You engage in cyber terrorism, 10 years imprisonment and fine. You publish anything on pornography, you're in trouble. Look, on pornography, there's so much of confusion. People are confused. So the law is very clear. There's no law which prohibits you from watching adult content or pornographic content. But the moment you publish, transmit, or cause the same to be published or transmitted, or the moment you forward it, you commit an offense. And that gets punishable with 3 years imprisonment and fine. So you get some adult joke on your WhatsApp message, you find it funny, and you want to forward it. You forwarded it. You commit a crime at that point of time. Why? Because that joke may be audio, video, image, or text. The moment you transmit anything which is obscene, that becomes an offense under Section 67 of the IT Act. Supposing you get some kind of video on your WhatsApp, which is showing explicit sexual act or conduct, and you say, look, let me forward it to my friends. The moment you do that, that becomes a crime under Section 67A of the IT Act. 5 years imprisonment, 10 lakh rupees fine. The moment you deal with publishing or transmission of child pornography, more serious offense, 5 years imprisonment, 10 lakh rupees fine. A variety of other cyber crimes have also been defined under the Indian cyber law, and you need to be aware of that. It's always best to be on the right side of law because there have been so many cases that have happened. I was the counsel for the complainant in India's first cybercrime conviction way back in the year 2003, 18 years back. Since then, we thought a lot of cybercrime would come in. We have got a lot of these cybercrime conviction matters. But then of late now, because the law has made a majority of cybercrimes as bailable offenses. Getting convictions is becoming a tall order. And while we've all been busy in these COVID-19 times, I was studiously looking at how COVID was impacting cyberspace. So in my new book, New Cyber World Order Post-COVID-19, I've argued that by the time the world gets victorious against the current and subsequent wave of infections of COVID-19, we will enter into a new cyber space. A new cyber world order will await us where cyber crimes will be the new normal. Increasing cybersecurity breaches will be a daily phenomenon, and the states will become very, very powerful. So I think we have to be now braced up for a new future that has so much of cybercriminal activity around us. And I'm also engaged in a lot of capacity building because COVID-19 has told us that we will have to constantly update our skill sets. So I'm heading this online initiative called Cyber Law University, which is an online university. We offer various courses on different aspects of cyber law. For example, we have these international certification course on cyber law, cyber security law, on cybercrime law certification course, and the international artificial intelligence law certification course. We've tied up with the National Law School, WICCI, for offering an undergraduate course on cyber law. And we also have various other postgraduate courses and short courses on different aspects on the issues of cyber law, cybercrime, cybersecurity, artificial intelligence, blockchain, IoT, and a variety of newly emerging technologies. So if you have some time, these are short courses of 20 to 25 hours, which you can do to get an update of what's happening. And these courses of Cyber Law University have already been done by more than 26,000 students from 172 countries, speaking 52 national languages. So I believe one of the best ways of how you can fight cybercrime is enhance your skill sets and constantly update your knowledge, because once you know what's happening, then you will quickly realize that now cybercrime is going to be a lifelong companion. It's going to be a friend with you till such time you die. So therefore, it's a very uneasy friend. You must learn how to navigate yourself away from the radiation aspects of cybercrime. You must try to enhance your skill sets, and finally, try to take all steps that you are on the right side of the law, because there are so many of cases and there's so many case studies that I can talk to you where people have been negligent, people have just been careless, and the cyber criminal is successful. Look, the cyber criminal is not a hardworking guy. He's a guy who's very relaxed, very lax. He's only looking at doing minimal work and maximum profits. And he's only looking at one small vulnerability, one small crack through which he can enter your systems, your data, your personal life, and then copy your data and then target you, your monies, your reputation, goodwill, and standing. So I think cybercrime will be here for a long, long time. We must be aware of cybercrime. We must consciously avoid becoming victims of cybercrime. And more significantly, we must tell our peer groups, our friends, and chambers of commerce like yours must tell your members on how they can prevent becoming victims of cybercrime as a whole, because this is going to be a huge paradigm as we go forward. I just, on this occasion, would like to then stop my sharing, and I would like to conclude by saying there is so much now new things that are happening that in case if we are not going to be careful, the chances of us becoming victims of cybercrimes are very high. Thank you for giving me the opportunity, and happy to have any specific questions. We'll be happy to even share our perspectives, some case studies, and issues in that regard. Thank you, and over to you, ma'am.
Thank you for your wisdom, sir. And it's really scary to be in a golden age of cybercrime with, the dark web, fake news, unethical transmission of pornographic content, blackmailing, etc. And the very fact that it doesn't just affect individuals, but it even has such a negative impact on the economy is just terrifying. And it's absolutely essential we know how to protect ourselves now. So now I'd like to open the platform for any questions that the audience has, or if anyone has any concerns or any experiences they want to share, anything, the floor is yours. Please go ahead.
So, sir, I think there are some questions in the chat box. Mr. Agarwal basically is trying to ask about Aadhaar card, and it is something which is even a concern for me too. That our lot of times, lot of areas, everything has to be linked with our Aadhaar card. So, how far it is safe? Because everywhere, if the data is on the net, it has always been said that nothing is private. So there is no privacy at all. Even if we connect anything with our passwords, also even that is hackable. So if something which is hackable and we are not at all protected, what about sharing our Aadhaar card with everything which is connecting ourselves? Pavanji, am I audible?
Thank you. You're perfectly audible. I have to change my device, please.
Okay, okay.
Thank you. Any questions, any thoughts,
Yes.
any clarifications?
Yes, yes. I was just asking the same question which Mr. Agarwal also has posted on the chat box. That what about the protection related to sharing the information for our Aadhaar card? We have to connect Aadhaar card with everything, and it is absolutely correct that what will happen if we share our details all across on all platforms?
You are effectively playing with fire if you share your Aadhaar cards on all platforms. In fact, I'd like to share a small secret with you, which is that if you have a choice that you can share your Aadhaar or give any other identity proof, please go ahead and give any other identity proof rather than Aadhaar, because Aadhaar is a two-edged sword. Aadhaar as an identification is connected with your biometrics, your iris scan, your thumb impressions. So if that's going to be compromised, it could potentially open up a Pandora's box. Well, the government has been always saying that, look, Aadhaar is 100% secure. But please understand, there are two components of Aadhaar. The first component is the Aadhaar Central Identities Data Repository, where all our data is there. That's secure. Let's take it for granted. But around this, a new ecosystem has developed. This is known as the Aadhaar ecosystem. This is the ecosystem where you are joining the bank accounts with Aadhaar, your income tax with Aadhaar, everything else is being joined with Aadhaar. Now, this ecosystem is very unsafe. And there are so many breaches that are continuously being happening. Year before last, the Unique Identification Authority of India actually lodged more than 50 FIRs against different people for breaching the Aadhaar ecosystem. And though they made amendments in the Aadhaar Act, the fact still remains to get misused. The law will presume that you will be responsible for the misuse till such time you report. Now, how does that happen? Because today you have your Aadhaar card, which you use on a website, and it gets misused tomorrow. You don't get to know about it in the next 6 months. After 8 months, you get to know about it. That's the time you notify the authorities. But the law says, sorry, during this entire 8 months, when your Aadhaar number was being misused, we will make you liable. So if you have a choice, please don't use Aadhaar. Already the Supreme Court has said in the case of Justice Puttaswamy versus Union of India that Aadhaar is not mandatory and no one can force you to give your Aadhaar. In fact, it's always a good idea to say, I don't have Aadhaar. Can I give you my passport, my election ID card, my driving license, anything else? Because both other kinds of these authentication mechanisms are less dangerous. But if I have your Aadhaar, I can potentially do a lot of damage to you as a person. And you need to be aware and alive of that. So I think it's always a good idea to be safe than sorry. Let's not experiment and start sharing our Aadhaar numbers on all websites and all platforms. For example, even now, when you're getting your COVID vaccine done,
Right.
They ask me Aadhaar, you say, so I don't have Aadhaar. They say, give me any other proof. So you give any other proof because you don't know where your Aadhaar number is actually being used. And because the number is directly married to your biometrics, which is unique in the world, if you are not very careful and if it's misused, you as a legal entity don't have legal remedies, because the Aadhaar Act, both of 2016 and the amendments of 2019, are not at all adequate to protect you. So it's better to be safe than sorry. Thanks.
So my another question is that if we talk about women who are absolutely at home, so we talk about homemakers and specifically children who are below the age of 16, to be very specific, what advice would you be giving them? Because for them, Facebook, WhatsApp, or few YouTube channels are their only life on the mobile phone. So what advice would you like to give to those women who are at home and thinking that they're safe?
If you're a woman and you're at home, you're connected to the internet, then thinking that you are safe is an anomaly. You're definitely not safe. Take it for granted. Why? Because ask yourself a question. Have you made your mobile phone secure? Do you have an antivirus on that? Do you have a firewall on that? Have you checked up the kind of information that's repeatedly being taken out of your mobile phone by these mobile apps? So let's learn to slightly change our DNA. Look, as Indians, we are great as trusting people. We trust people left, right, and center. We trust any information that we see online without even checking up anything. But I think the time has come where we have to change our mindsets and start inculcating a culture of distrust and mistrust on every information that you see. Don't believe any information till such time you independently have verified the authenticity or veracity of the same using the internet. Let me give you one example. You are at home, you think WhatsApp is 100% secure, so you start talking all kinds of things on WhatsApp. Little does WhatsApp PR machinery tell you that it is only end-to-end secure from point A to point B. But somehow the way they've actually gone ahead and done their media propaganda, almost 9.5 out of 10 Indians believe that WhatsApp is most secure. Whereas actually hacking a WhatsApp is a child's play. And also, WhatsApp is far less secure than other apps. So first and foremost, when you're alone, when you're at home, and when you're connected, first and foremost, secure your device and secure your connection. When I say device, get a good antivirus, get a good firewall, so that the firewall will block up on any efforts to get unauthorized access into your device or your laptop. Number 2, don't share your passwords, your Wi-Fi passwords with anyone. Do not keep your Wi-Fi's open. Keep on changing your Wi-Fi passwords every 10-15 days. Second thing, once you are on any social media platform, please look at the terms and conditions just to understand how the said social media platform is going ahead and dealing with your data. And if you think that you can actually trust these service providers with your privacy, you're mistaken. It's like trusting the cat with a liter of milk and expecting that the cat is going to just take care of the milk and not drink the same. So let me give you an example of WhatsApp. WhatsApp in January 2021 made a unilateral announcement. They said, look, we are now coming up with an amended privacy policy. You either accept our amended privacy policy or please leave our platform. So there was so much of noise because when you started reading the privacy policy, this was bizarre. Already, earlier WhatsApp was an independent company, so it was very secure. Then Facebook purchased WhatsApp. And since September 2016, WhatsApp has been sharing all your personal information with Facebook and Facebook group of companies. Now this new amended privacy policy says, sir, we are now going to offer you payments on WhatsApp. So whenever you are going to do any transactions on WhatsApp, your entire transaction data, including your credit card number, your debit card number, your internet banking details, your metadata, your location, to whom have you made the payment, what is the nature of transaction, and other related information and logs are now going to be shared by WhatsApp with not just Facebook and Facebook group of companies, but also with their third-party service providers, with business affiliates and business associates. So more than 25,000 odd companies across the world are going to have access to your data. And you agree that you're cutting your hands and giving it to them. And you further agree that you will not agitate against the same and that you will have no legal remedy against the same. So obviously it's been gross violation of the IT Act and rules. So they were very adamant that we will go ahead and do that. So the government came up with the IT rules 2021. They've tried to protect us, but still the onus for protecting us is on our own self. Let's not record anything showing us either in a negative, prejudicial, compromising, or personal position. You have to quickly start realizing that during COVID-19, this particular Indian revolution has greatly strengthened and consolidated. This revolution is what I call the Great Indian Vomiting Revolution. Indians are vomiting information about their personal, professional, social lives on the internet without even understanding the legal ramifications. And when you're home, you're vomiting all the more because there's nobody else to talk to. So consequently, let's consciously make an effort not to be part of the Great Indian Vomiting Revolution. Let's only share information on a need-to-know basis. The entire world does not need to know what you're doing at which point of time, or which pizza have you ordered, or which cold drink or hard drink are you drinking, or what are you doing at which point of the day of time. I'm reminded of that famous Hindi film called Anand. In Anand, there's it's a classical film which has Rajesh Khanna and Amitabh Bachchan. In one scene, Rajesh Khanna is walking on the road and he suddenly hits somebody called Johnny Walker at his back and say, "Hi, you're my old friend, let's become friends." Now, that happens in films. How much time has it actually happened with us that we stop people on the road saying, "Hey, hi, can you become my friend? Let's become friends." That doesn't happen. So if that doesn't happen in the real world, why should it happen in cyberspace? Why are we so much hungry for online followers, online friends, and online users? So we must know that we must be sharing information on a need-to-know basis. There was a family in Delhi. They were sick of this COVID-19. So once things were slightly relaxed before the second wave, they said, "We are going to Kulu Manali." They were very tech savvy and announced that on all their social media handles. And more significantly, they started asking people what to do in Kulu Manali, what to buy in Kulu Manali. And they're going on a particular day, maybe say 10th of that month, and they come back by the 25th. And they were asking for suggestions for itineraries during that period of time. So they actually went to Kulu Manali. By the time they came home, they realized that their entire home had been burgled because their entire information was already on social media, including for cybercriminals to know that they will not be at home from this date to this date. So the entire whole home was actually burgled. So we must learn not to trust people. We must learn to only share information if at all it's required to be shared. We must not befriend unknown people online because you do not know whether you're befriending a horse or a snake or a real man or a dog online. Because what people say on the internet is not specifically who they necessarily are. For all you know, you may actually be befriending a terrorist, maybe a spy agent, maybe some kind of another cyber criminal who's all out to target you. And these online romances should be a clear no-no, because these online romances invariably are a great gateway for more cyber criminal activities targeted against you. Yes, we are at home, we are alone, we are lonely, we are actually feeling depressed, we can't go out. So fine, but I think the entire world is in the same boat as what we are. And we'll have to take a more holistic approach. Let's not, for some momentary pleasure, try to mortgage our privacy, our data, because that can actually be haunting you for a lifetime. Because please remember, on the internet, there are two special characteristics of internet which must be with you in your entire life. Number one, internet as a paradigm never sleeps. Number two, internet as a phenomenon never forgets. Whatever you're going to put up online is going to be there for a long, long period of time. And you're all women entrepreneurs. If you are going to put something which is going to show you in a different light, that could even be impacting your entrepreneurial activity, your business and your potential business prospects. Because people, before they will meet with you, they will Google you. They will search with you on your social media search engines to find out what kind of person are you. Should you actually be encouraged or entertained or whatever? So let's learn to be cautious. Let's learn to be duly diligent. The skies are not falling down. Already the situation has massively improved, but clearly the third wave is still on the horizon. Internet is a great servant, but a bad master. Please use internet as a servant, not as a master. Let's not mortgage our liberties, our mental peace, and our physical and mental health at the hands of these cyber criminals who are all sadistic, who don't even blink an eyelid before they cause utmost damage to you. Just be careful. I think it's just caution, due diligence, and care that has to be your constant companion while you're working from home and while you're on the internet. Use it only as a bridge for reaching out to your goals, but do not make it the mainstay of your life. Life is far beyond the internet, and life is far beyond everything that we do in the online space. Thanks.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. Anyone, any questions?
Saakshar, what as a youngster, what do you think when you are online and when you're at home? What kind of things do these youngsters, these young girls need to keep in mind? So is online romancing the flavor of the times, or you think, no, we need to be more mature?
Well, yes, absolutely. Online romancing is there. It's prevalent these days, and especially we at our Center Against Cyberbullying have been seeing a lot of cases where generally couples, the boyfriend, girlfriend, since they are not able to meet physically, so they tend to pick these social media platforms for interactions and circulating different pictures. And later on, when they break up, eventually in a lot of cases, irrespective of whether it's the girlfriend or the boyfriend, one party or the other tends to blackmail the other. So these days, definitely this is prevalent, but at the same time, as you said, one should be very much aware of the fact that what he or she is posting online, and the trust issues are very much a big matter of concern these days. And we also at Center Against Cyberbullying, during our sessions, these days we are having online sessions, and in those sessions we tend to create awareness on the same.
Also, I believe that we have to be slightly careful with our devices, and this is applicable to all of us. Why? Because we keep on changing our devices very quickly. A typical phone is now 2 or 3 years at maximum, and if need be, even lesser. But what you're not realizing is that if you are exchanging your phone, you're inviting yourself to potential disaster. I think the fact remains is that don't give your devices to anyone, put it under passcodes, and never exchange your device. Because once you exchange your device for 2,000 or 3,000 rupees, even if you delete your entire data remains on the mobile phone. And it just takes one simple forensic tool to take out almost about 90% of all your deleted data. So please don't leave behind footprints. Stop using these IoT-based devices who are constantly recording you, specifically in your bedrooms or in your secret areas, because everything gets recorded. Let's learn to realize that people are interested in our lives and our personal selves. And therefore, let's start being cautious and careful so that we don't become victims of cybercrime. Thanks.
Sir, I have one question. If we talk about if this kind of a crime is committed in any university or college, wherein the Wi-Fi is being used as it. Veena-ji, your mic is not on mute. Can you please? Yes, thank you. So if we are using the Wi-Fi of a particular institution and a crime is committed, so will the institution be held responsible for that crime?
The answer, ma'am, is a crystal clear yes.
Yes.
Because institution is an intermediary. Because if you are an educational institution and maybe you're providing Wi-Fi connectivity to your students, or you're providing a platform where your students are able to come, and misusing your digital connectivity or your digital resources, somebody commits a crime. If you as an intermediary have not done your documented due diligence, if you have not complied with the new IT rules under the IT law, then the law will take you on the same capacity as that of a co-accused, which means you'll also be deemed to be having guilty of having sent the same stuff. So let me give an example. You're a woman entrepreneur, you have your own setup, there are people working for you, you've given them internet connectivity, now they're working from home, but they come onto your platform, your device, your computer website, and then they do various activities. Somebody does some nonsense. Then clearly that particular person who does the nonsense will be definitely booked for cybercrime. And you also, because it's your company, your platform, the company can't be sent to jail, but the top management of the company can be definitely booked up for various cybercrimes. So we'll have to be very careful. Therefore now, effective February 2021, the government has come up with new rules asking us to do a number of compliances. So all of us here as women entrepreneurs who have got these various industries, please realize the thumb rule. Are you saving third-party data on your systems? When I say third-party data, are you saving the data of your employees, of your customers, of your business partners, of users, of third parties on your system? If you're doing that, then the law considers you as an intermediary because you become a network service provider. And therefore, there are now new set of compliances. If you do that, then the law says, I'm going to give you a Suraksha Kavach. Like in, Mahabharata in the Gita discourse, Lord Krishna tells Arjuna, come to my Sharan and I will protect you. So the Indian IT law has an exact same message. Come inside my ambit, comply with my parameters, and I will give you a Suraksha Kavach to say you can be sued, but you cannot be sent to jail. You cannot be forced to pay 1 rupee damages by way of compensation. And therefore, whatever sector of work that you are in, if you are using computers, if you're using third-party data, or if you're giving internet access or mobile connectivity to your employees, then you become a network service provider. There are now these new set of compliances that have to be done. And my law firm Pavan Duggal Associates assists a number of these companies in ensuring documented due diligences as you go forward. I always say you're going out, it's about to rain. Please wear your raincoat, carry your umbrella. This wearing of the raincoat, carrying of the umbrella is the Suraksha Kavach I want you to wear, which is do your compliances under the applicable laws and then get into that comfort zone that the law has given you. That there is a Suraksha Kavach, you cannot be sent to jail, you cannot be prosecuted, you cannot be forced to pay any damages by way of compensation. So I think that has to be the mantra. Proactive compliances will have to be done. In our mindset, let's do जुगाड़, कुछ नहीं हुआ देख लेंगे, जब आएगा तब कर लेंगे, वो कहानी खत्म हो गई. क्यों? क्योंकि अब अगर आप जब कुछ आएगा और जब आप कुछ करेंगे, तब कहीं ना कहीं आपको झूठे इलेक्ट्रॉनिक रिकॉर्ड बनाने पड़ेंगे. और जब आप झूठे इलेक्ट्रॉनिक रिकॉर्ड बनाएंगे, तब आप इलेक्ट्रॉनिक फोर्जरी करेंगे. तो इंडियन पीनल कोड कहता है 7 साल की सजा है और जुर्माना है. तो क्लियरली उस डायरेक्शन में तो जाना ही नहीं है. So the only focus right now is let's be on the right side of the law so that our compliances are complete. The next time a police comes to you or a court summon comes to you, they are not going to listen to what your verbal testimony is. They will ask you, do you have the documents to show that you're complying with the IT Act and the rules that are made thereunder? I think there's some question here from Subhav Agrawal. Driving license is secure to register for vaccine portal. Yes, that's much more secure than Aadhaar that's there. Then what's the solution for all devices that you encrypt your mobile data? Best is you plus start using encryption. There are a lot of these free encryption tools that are available. Try to be secure. Try to have your backups. At least have your backups every 15 days. Because you don't know when your data is going to be targeted, when it's going to go away. And if you are suddenly without your data, my mobile phone may typically have 10,000 contacts or 15,000 contacts. And if I lose that, then I go in a state of panic because I have nobody else's records. Therefore, backup, due diligence will have to be part of our lives. Cyber resilience is the new mantra. The cyber resilience phenomenon says that take it a given normal that you will be attacked by cybercrime. It's not important or it's not surprising that you become a victim of cybercrime. The important issue is how quickly can you come back to a state of normalcy after being hit by cybercrime. I think we must have those cyber resilience mindsets and mechanisms in place so that first and foremost, we try not to become victims of cybercrime. But even in the event that we become victims of cybercrime, we should be able to come back to a state of normalcy, normal business operations, normal personal operations as we go forward. Thanks, man.
पवन जी, आप बहुत अच्छा एक्सप्लेन किया। मैं तो बहुत हो गई हूँ। कभी भी आपको जरूरत हुई तो आपसे जरूर मिलेंगे, बात करेंगे। नहीं, मुझे बड़ा अच्छा लगा। कई बातें हमें पता होती हैं, लेकिन एकदम से क्लिक हुआ दिमाग में। कितना अच्छा समझाया आपने। थैंक यू वेरी मच।
थैंक यू, धन्यवाद आपका, शुक्रिया। कारण ये है कि हम लोग आज इतने ज्यादा मंत्रमुग्ध हो गए हैं इन डिवाइसेस, इंटरनेट से, कि कहीं भूल गए कि हमारी जिंदगी इन डिवाइसेस से थोड़ा परे है। और इंटरनेट ही जीवन नहीं है। तो वो लोग जहाँ कंफ्यूजन जब भूल गए हैं, तो हम लोग ऐसे दब से जाते हैं, और कहाँ पर वो लाइन इतनी डिस्टिंक्शन कम होती है कि कहाँ सही काम कर रहे हैं और कहाँ गलती की चले गए, कहाँ साइबर क्राइम करने लग गए, और कहाँ आपने थोड़ा किस पर विश्वास किया, और फिर सारी जिंदगी का आपको खमियाजा भुगतना पड़ा।
आपने छोटी से छोटी और बड़ी से बड़ी बात बहुत आसानी से समझा दी है।
धन्यवाद।
So, sir, I personally thank you for giving us your time, your precious knowledge to us, wherein we have actually understood the importance, and we try, at least I would try from my side, that we should stop using things which are not useful. We cannot rid away 100%, but yes, we can try our small steps and go towards the broader horizon. Kausanya, over to you.
Again, thank you all for joining us.
We are greatly looking forward for another session wherein you can also guide us in other platforms. We'll be in touch with you on the other side.
Thank you, ma'am. It'll be a pleasure. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Saakshar ji. Thank you so much, Pavan ji.
Okay, bye-bye.
Thank you, ma'am.
Yes, Kausanya.
Thank you all for joining us today. A huge thank you to our speakers. Obviously, we've learned a lot, and this was obviously a very fruitful discussion. So thank you and have a good day, everyone.
Next time,
have a great day.
सब लोग अटेंड करना मीटिंग, मुझे बहुत अच्छा लग रहा है सुन के।
Thank you, ma'am.
Surely we need to do that.
Okay.
Looking forward, and thank you everyone for joining in. Your each and every seconds really matters, and we're looking forward for many more other sessions. So stay connected with DMSC. Thank you.